Raise your hand if you like to cry. Okay, well, for those of you with their hands down, same. But I've cried more over the past 6 months than I have my whole life. And that's kind of because around that time, I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder called type 1 diabetes, which sucked, especially because I am terrified of needles and have to inject myself with one 4 times a day. But I'm thankful because it sucked so badly one day last November that it changed my view on strength. I was released from the ER that day after being admitted for a diabetic condition. I had a fun night. We're talking dizzy spells, multiple IVs, and panic every time a nurse approached me with another needle. They joked I'd get used to them, but update, still haven't. Thankfully, my mom was in town to support, and when we got back to my apartment, I was overcome with guilt for taking a sick day. No matter how many times she reassured me it was fine, it continued to bubble up until we went to sleep that night, and I started sobbing. My mom rushed to my bedside and begged me to tell her what was wrong. So I said I felt relieved. And when she asked why, I said, because I finally have an excuse to take a break, Mom. Those tears were the realization that I believe strength meant pushing myself past my limits. But if I wanted to be healthy, I needed a new belief. So I started to ask myself, who told me that I needed to be strong? Why did I feel guilty for resting when I was sick, and who else could relate? After opening up to my friends, family, the internet, I found that the red thread between many of us who felt this way was that we were Black women. Because in our society, Black women are expected to be strong. But it comes at a price. I couldn't get those conversations out of my head because I was hungry to know why we struggled with strength. So unlike my college days, I did homework for fun. And I came across Professor Giscombe of UNC Chapel Hill and her qualitative research on Black American women that made up the Superwoman schema. Now, not only was I type 1 diabetic, but I also showed symptoms of being a superwoman, thanks to the 5 traits, including an obligation to present an image of strength, to suppress your emotions, resisting asking for help and being vulnerable, feeling motivated to succeed despite your lack of resources, and prioritizing caregiving. But this schema isn't new to you, because you remember the 2021 Olympics, right? Where Simone Biles decided not to compete in one of her events to preserve her mental health. Supporters like myself rallied around her for not suppressing her emotions, but naysayers questioned her strength. Had she presented their strength, she could have lost. And had she attempted to succeed despite lacking the internal resources she needed at that time, she could have injured herself. So instead of questioning her strength, shouldn't we question the definition of it? Sure, you can grow through trials and tribulations, but they can also beat you down. And a health study from July 13th of last year by researchers from University of Connecticut, Columbia, Morehouse, and NYU shows just how risky putting up a fake image of strength can be to our health. Due to the stressors on our lives, they concluded that Black American women are at a higher risk of cardiovascular disease compared to our white, Asian, and Hispanic counterparts. Now, for those of you who aren't Black women but struggle with strength, I hear you. So you're probably asking yourself why you should care about Black women going through this. But if I were to ask many of you if you cared about diversity and inclusion, you would say yes. So if something is happening to one of us, shouldn't it matter to all of us? I want you to think about the Black woman showing up strong indirectly in your own life. Voting to swing elections in your favor, entertaining you to the Emmy Award-winning degree like Zendaya, lifting your spirits on a tough day in the office like your Black teammate, winning medals for your country like Serena Williams. And those are just a few of us. But how can we expect Black women to show up strong in these spaces if we can't channel our inner Simone Biles and step off of the mat to preserve our well-being? So hear me out. What if we shifted our view on strength to view strength as a courage to choose ourselves unapologetically? It's a small ask with a big reward. So for those of us who need a bit more help than others, there is already something we can do. We can make lifestyle modifications. Yeah, those same researchers I just told you about found this to be the most successful in decreasing the risk of cardiovascular disease in Black women. So I'm down. But like any goal, it's not gonna happen overnight. Believe me, I've tried, and I failed. I remember driving down the 101 on a Sunday in January, trying to enjoy what was left of my weekend, but so overwhelmed by everything I thought I needed to do that day, that I almost hit a white Tesla in front of me, attempting to cross something off of my phone's to-do list. My inability to take a break could have hurt others. But a few months into my diagnosis, my doctor said that it was clear from my medical history that I was used to fighting through every trial that came my way, and my body was begging me to take it easy. So I decided to listen. And I saw an area in my life that was draining every ounce of my energy, so I set clear boundaries. And that conversation was tough. But real strength came from me putting my well-being above my fear of judgment. And if you have also struggled with old definitions of strength, it is on us to stop using them. And when we do, especially some of us Black women, it'll release the weight that we have been carrying on our shoulders of feeling like we owe it to the world to be everything to them. And I want us all to have this courage to choose ourselves and to feel strong while doing so. It shouldn't take a traumatic event in your own lives to get you to this point. It's not worth it. We don't need to be lectured or warned. What we need is to be each other's accountability friends, reminding each other that we have every right to choose ourselves now so that we can have the strength for everything we have planned tomorrow. Thank you.